The weekend has arrived, and what better way to start it than by immersed in the sights and sounds of nature. Well, good morning. Today I have come down to the coast to watch this beautiful sunrise. It's just incredible. There's something so incredibly beautiful about watching light interact with water. Right in front of me right now as I'm watching the sunrise, and we've got the beautiful water here. It's just taking that moment to observe it. It's so beautiful. That light mixed with the movement and the motion of the water. It just creates beautiful patterns and shapes that are forever changing and evolving. It's like the slightest movement in the water completely changes. So as this water is really mesmerising me as I'm watching it flow and change around me with that beautiful early morning light, I think it would be a good opportunity to get my camera out and start to photograph it. So I find this style of photography really exciting because it's a great, fun, playful way to engage with water. I tend to use a telephoto lens for doing this. So today I've got my 100 to 400mm Nikkor Z lens with me. And what I tend to do is to observe the water with my eye, just spend some time looking around, observing, uncovering where the really interesting parts of the water are. And what I mean by that is the parts of the water that are moving in a different motion, or parts of water where the light is interacting with it in a really nice way. And then I begin to look through the camera, and by zooming in and out of different areas and framing these different parts of the water that have initially caught my eye, it can result in an incredible amount of different opportunities. And because the water is forever changing, especially if you're in a location like I am today, which is a river estuary, there's just so many different photographs you can create with this. And especially when you're out at a time of day like this, when the sun is rising or setting, the light is changing every few seconds. So that even increases even further the image opportunities that you can potentially create. So just now I've zoomed into the area of the water where the sunrise light is hitting off of the surface. It's very bright, it's almost blinding if I look anywhere near it. But when I look through the camera and I zoom into the areas, I don't see it on camera. Little bits of it. You can see, where these sparkles of water are as the sunlight is interacting with it. But then when I create my image and I then look on the back of my camera, there are these beautiful twinkling lights on the water, these shimmering lights that look like twinkles, like the twinkling lights on a Christmas tree, which is really festive actually, given that today is the last day of November. We're about to go into December, of course Christmas is coming up. Wow, this is fascinating. Every image is so unique and different. I've just noticed a big piece of froth on the water. It's a little bit further away than I would like, but I'm going to follow it and see what sort of images I can create using it. This is something else I love doing. I love to create images of just the water surface. You know, you're admiring the water as it is. You're looking at all of these ripples, these shapes, constantly changing. I mean, just look at this. Look at this, being surrounded by this water. It's really calming, actually. It's really, really lovely. But then when you find something that's floating on the water, like this piece of foam, it can be really fun to follow that subject and to trace it with the camera and just wait and observe it as it's moving around. And just to add like that added little bit of interest to the image, but also a little bit of a story as well, which can be exciting. I could spend hours, absolutely hours, just sitting here, surrounded by this water, creating images. There is so many opportunities. So next year in April, I'm hosting a mindful coastal retreat here in the northeast of Scotland. And this is the sort of exercises that we're going to be doing as part of that retreat, which is really, really exciting. By the time this video goes out, I don't know if there'll be any spaces left, but if there is, you can find all the details on my website. I'll link it up here and down the description box as well. You can see here we've got a couple of smaller bits of foam and froth moving around, and yeah, by zooming into these, just to have that little bit of interest again, we've got a whole line of it there. We can begin to create some really interesting photographs. It's forever, there's like new opportunities, literally new opportunities every few seconds. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Wow. I am having the time of my life with these tiny little bits of froth. What I find really exciting is finding these small things which most people would just walk past, because there are these tiny little bits of opportunities, these little elements that make up the whole. You know, when you look around me here, just look how much we have here. You know, that you could photograph, that you could connect with. There is a magnitude of photographic subjects here. But what is interesting me is these tiny little pieces of froth. And I get so excited by them, and watching the interaction between the light, the water, the movement of the water, and then having this added element like these little pieces of froth, to me just brings the images to life. And they make me smile. They really make me smile. It's such a fun thing to photograph. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. So fun. I think the really exciting thing about it all is that you don't know what the images are going to turn out like. It's like almost like a game, you know. You find something, you get it in focus, you photograph it, you hope for the best, then you look on your, oh my gosh, I love that image. You look on your camera and it's like this incredible surprise. When you're working with something moving like water, you really have no idea what the images are going to turn out like. And it's like this surprise, this present, this gift at the end. As you look back at what you photographed and you see how it's turned out, because you can't really know. You can frame things, of course, and you can focus on the subject that you want to be in focus, but because the water is constantly moving, you never really know exactly what it's going to look like until you look at the back of your camera or on the computer when you get home. And I personally find that really exciting. Really, really exciting. When I started my photography journey, I always wanted to know what my images would look like when I photographed them. You know, it was like I was trying to put all of these elements together to ensure that the image turned out exactly how I wanted it. And when you're doing types of photography like this, where you can have some control over the outcome. You know, you're choosing the subject, your settings, your framing, you're tracking things, you're observing things. But ultimately, you've no idea what the water is going to do and how the light's going to interact with the water at that exact moment you press your shutter button. You can try and predict it, and by observing the water, you can get better at predicting what it may do, but you never know for sure. I think it's a really good thing to do because it allows you to release that control. You don't know exactly what the outcome's going to be, and it's almost like you allow whatever wants to unfold. You do the best you can to create the images you want to create, but you are simply just responding to the environment around you. Oh my God, this light. Now that the sunrise, oh my gosh, the sunrise is moving a little bit further to the right. We now have some of the beautiful dancing light interacting with some of these pieces of froth now as well. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. I'm going to have to take some more photographs. Oh my God. These images are just getting better and better. This is another great tip when it comes to having a more contemplative, slower, observational, mindful approach to photography. The longer you spend photographing the same subject, generally speaking, the better your images become, because you get used to that subject, you really connect with it more deeply. So as you're tracing it, observing it, photographing it, I just find the longer I spend with a subject, the better the images become. The more that subject shows me its beauty, the more it works in unison with me. It is fascinating. Is this the key to being a really connected, beautiful, accomplished photographer? It's all about connection. If you're not connecting with your subject, it's not going to show you its beauty. It's not going to work with you. I think especially when you're photographing nature, I've just realised that the longer I spend with a subject, the more of its beauty it shows me and the better my images become. The more of a wow factor they have. It's important to spend time with your subjects, to really spend time with them, to really see them, to observe them, to connect with them. Because then you almost like merge with them, you become it. And especially something like water, the more time you're spending with it, the more you flow with it, the more you move with it. I think for me, that's what makes a fantastic photographer. is somebody who really connects with their subject, who spends the time with their subject. The longer we spend with that subject, the more we see it, the more we listen to it, the more we get to know it, the better our images become. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this morning. I know, I can see from the back of my camera that I've created some images today that are just, they really speak to me. Oh my gosh, I'm getting attacked by a seagull. Hello! This has been a beautiful way to start a Saturday morning. And now that the sun's getting a bit higher in the sky, and I've probably spent about an hour and a half, something like that, photographing this water. I'm getting pretty hungry, so it's time to have breakfast. It's just after 10 o'clock in the morning. I've brought my breakfast out with me. Homemade overnight oats, banana, chia seeds, some nuts, and I'll be able to enjoy this just sitting here observing this view. As you've probably seen in my recent videos, I'm really enjoying eating outdoors just now. I just think it's such a lovely way to connect with nature, and it adds to that mindfulness element, and especially when you're eating something that you've either made yourself or that a local cafe has made. I just love it. So while I get ready to eat my breakfast, I just want to say a huge thank you for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, you've gained some inspiration, and if there's still any spaces left on the Mindful Photography Retreat, if you'd like to join us here for 5 days of beautiful mindful photography in the northeast of Scotland, you can find the full details at my website. Thanks again, I really appreciate your time, and wishing you a very blessed and creative week ahead. Don't even think about it, seagull, please. You're cute, but this food is not for you. No, don't, no. He's quite cute, isn't he? Oh, itching. I'm sorry.